This is like celebration food to me. This is the kind of food that I want to share. You want to have a whole bunch of people over to say, wow, look what you did. This is Thailand's answer to the spicy meatball. Full of fresh herbs, crispy on the outside. This thing is jam-packed with flavor. This is my version of Thai crispy larb meatballs. So in Thailand, this dish is known as larb muol tod, and it is that beautiful larb salad, Thai salad, which you might know, but in crispy meatball form. I mean, come on. Let's get going on the thing that I think gives you that characteristic larb flavor, and that is toasted rice. So you want to start off with, this is sticky rice or glutinous rice. You can find it in an Asian grocer or buy it online. And you're going to toast this in a dry frying pan. And you want to wait till this gets really nut brown. So this ingredient is what gives a larb salad its kind of nuttiness and also a little bit of sort of crunchy texture as well. Now you'll know this is kind of ready when you sort of get, it's almost like a popcorn kind of smell, and your rice grains will be really toasty and sort of golden. So these look good to me. And just toss those into your mortar, and you want to grind that to a fine powder. Now, if you love to make Thai larb salads, you can actually make a big batch of this and keep it in an airtight container for like up to 4 weeks. And you can sprinkle it on even normal salads as well for a bit of kind of nutty crunch. Okay, so let's put that aside for a minute and let's get on to the rest of the dressing slash dipping sauce slash seasoning sauce. You'll see what I mean. It's a bit of an all-purpose one for this recipe, but you want to start out with some palm sugar. Now, palm sugar can come in a few different forms. It can come in a block form. This kind of form, which is a bit softer in the tub, is quite good because you don't have to shave the palm sugar off with a knife. So it's quite a good one if you can find it. Now, if you can't get palm sugar, just a mix of brown sugar and white sugar is totally cool as well. And to that, you want to add some fish sauce, some lime juice, some chili powder, and so traditionally a larb style salad or larb anything is very spicy. So I'm going in with quite a lot of chili powder here. Dial it back if you would like, but the original version is like fire. And now you want to go in with about half of the toasted rice that you've made. So just give that a stir. You might need to just kind of smush down on that palm sugar a little bit just to get it dissolving. Oh, that is so perfect. What you're looking for is like you really should get like a tangy kind of, like when you try the dressing, that means that you got a good larb dressing on your hands, and it should really, be creating that kind of like fire situation in your mouth. So all of those things, great. Let's get on to the meatball part. Now you just need some pork mince. I prefer pork mince over a chicken just because the pork mince has a little bit more fat, which keeps it a little bit juicier, but you could totally use chicken or turkey or even beef here if you wanted to. And to that you want to add some finely chopped shallots. The other thing that's going to give our meatball that larb flavor is the fresh herbs. Larb salad is all about that hit, not just of the spicy, but of the pungent mint and coriander and spring onion. So get yourself some spring onion, some coriander. And look, if you don't like coriander, you can actually leave it out. The most important herb for me in a larb salad is the mint. Absolutely can't do without that. That's kind of like the characteristic herb flavor. Just pick off lots of leaves. I love this smell. The second I start to, smell the mint and the chili sauce and the toasted rice, it immediately says to me, larb. I can remember my mum making this salad when I was little. Always that smell kind of gets me. Okay, in a good way. All right, a really fine slice here. Put that in with your pork. And now back to our spicy sauce we made earlier. I'm going to put most of it in here. I'd say about 3/4 of the mixture. And this is gonna give us that really beautiful, spicy, tangy flavor in the meatball. And then the remainder quarter, I'm just gonna save for a bit of a dipping sauce at the end. And then the rest of that toasted rice, so we only used half at the beginning, I'm gonna use the rest in here now. And now just give that a mix. I always find a fork will only take you so far, so get in there with your hands. And then you kind of wanna it's almost like you're like kneading that mixture together. And you'll feel it'll sort of all start to come together into more of a firm kind of ball as you go. So now we can get these meatballs crisping up in that hot oil. So to test if your oil is hot enough, just grab a wooden spoon, and what you're looking for is some nice like furious little bubbles in there. And then you can totally like roll these out, put them on a tray and then pop them in the oil, but I'm just gonna like go like Danger Mouse style and just roll and drop. Nice kind of loose meatball here, like don't go too compact because I don't want a really like hard kind of hockey puck kind of situation. I just want a nice loose formed meatball, and in we go. Okay. Now these don't take long at all, like literally like a minute or so, and when you can see that really deep, dark brown color, just like that. Oh, that sizzle gets me every time. Just drain them on some paper towel. And I just love how you can see like, you know, lots of that fresh herb in there, you know, the speckles of chili and the little speckles of the toasty rice. Ah, now that is a very special meatball. Now, if you're serving these for a party, because they cook so quickly, you can have the mix made up, the meatballs made up, and just literally fry and serve. So I'm gonna pop these out onto a plate, and I like to serve with some extra mint here, some of that sauce that we saved from earlier. And then do you know what's nice here is a little bit of kind of like cooling crunch. So I like to add some cucumber as well. And that should cool down any fiery taste buds. Now, party appetizer or with steamed rice as part of like a Thai dinner, all of that is totally cool. But the best thing about it is when you get to taste it. So grab a little meatball. I want lots of that sauce. Oh, yes, the smell, guys. I wish you were here with me. Oh. That is such a huge explosion of flavor, like the spice, all the fresh herbs, that tangy sauce, it just kind of like hits you right in the mouth. Oh, beautiful. And then if you have a look inside, like this meatball is so pretty on the inside. You know, the fresh herbs, little speckles of chili, yum.
Hi everyone, your favorite chef is here. Oh, very good. Look, you can hear the crunchy. Today we're making mini prawn spring roll. Anyway, I'm making small spring roll. Very cute. Cute spring roll with a lot of dipping sauce. You always need good dipping sauce. Okay, let's go make the roll. I'm gonna start with the filling. I'm gonna chop the prawn. I don't like the food processor. No, a simple lady. Prawn, put in the bowl. Okay, now chop, chop. Chop, chop, chop. See, don't take long. Less washing up. Just put in the bowl. Oh, got a nice fresh prawn here. Now I need to clean it up a little bit. Where's my son-in-law? He's not good at cleaning anyway. Not like Marion, she's a good girl. Now I'm gonna make the flavor in. A little bit of garlic. 4 cloves garlic. Pound it up. Just take the skin off. Pound to the smooth paste. Put in with the prawn. Now some soy sauce. And a little bit sesame oil. This is a nice aroma. Gonna have a good flavor. Now I'm gonna get rice texture. Must add egg whites. crack the ball first. You know a secret ingredient? Corn flour or cornstarch. It's the same thing. This can make it texture good and sticky. A little bit white pepper and some salt. Now, okay, we mix it all up. Now we're ready to roll, like rock and roll. Now a tip for spring roll wrapper. Must keep under wet tea towel. That's why it's going to be dry out. See? Going to be like this. This is the size we want. Sometimes they come big like this. Just cut to the quarter. Or you can make big one too, up to you. Take one wrapper and the peel. You can see. A little bit filling on here. Now before you start wrapping, have to make the flour glue. This one just plain flour and the water. Have to help the spring roll stick together. Other people can use egg, but doesn't stick. You hold the end of the edges, one, and roll it up. Let's all see how they cute all this. I've been making spring roll for a long time. Asian mom make the best spring roll. Oh, look at that, my spring roll. Make it all nice and hot. The tasting, you can put wooden chopstick. When it's bubbling, they're ready. Now put the spring roll in. Don't put too many, too crowded, oil not hot. Oh, look at the bubbling. We want nice golden color. Oh, this is so cute. Many spring roll. Little cutie, just like Marion. Look at nice spring roll. Now scoop it out. You look at the color. Drain in paper towel. Oh, yummy and fresh. See, if you cook the right temperature, no oiling, just good spring roll. Serve it all up with your dipping sauce. I have a coconut caraja, coconut sweet chili, and spicy sweet chili. See, oh, Marion special serve. I like to have all of this now. Must have all three in my fridge. Marion very smart, you know. She get it from Noi. Just put a little bit coriander just for decoration. Oh, look at that. Another winner from Noi.
Fresher, more fragrant. These are totally not your average prawn toast. These are my Thai style prawn toasts. Okay, so prawn toast might conjure up your sort of 90s Chinese restaurant experience with really soggy bits of hard toast and the teeniest amount of that prawn stuff on the top. This is not that. This is a beautiful, fresh, fragrant, and so zesty and just completely flavorful version of prawn toast. All right, let's do the prawn topping, the all-important part first. I've got some beautiful tiger prawns here. And then I like to add a little bit of fish here. I'm using a snapper. I find that the fish kind of gives a kind of lighter, moussier texture to the whole thing. And now let's get started on all the herbaceous goodness. I've got some kaffir lime leaves here. Now you can find these guys at most Asian grocers. They freeze really well. So if you're making a special trip, grab a whole bunch and put them in the freezer. And if you can't find these, some lime zest will do as well. Now you just want to take the stems out first. Now just roll those up.
and finely slice. Pop those into your blender as well. And then I also want some coriander. Now I like to use the stalk part of the coriander for this mainly. It has a more robust flavour that stands up to the deep frying a little better than just the leaves. And now some garlic. Some fish sauce. A little pinch of salt here. The salt actually seems to help with the texture of this as well as adding a little bit of salty flavour. And then an egg white to bind everything together. Now blend that until you have a really smooth paste. So this is the kind of texture that you're after. It should be quite a firm mix, almost like a kind of dough consistency. And now take yourself some slices of bread. I like to go with a baguette style of bread here, and I want it at least a centimetre thick. And unlike the Chinese restaurants of the 90s, we are going to stack this with loads of that yummy prawn mixture. And now final little flourish, want some sesame seeds. I'm using some black ones today. And a little sprinkling of chili flakes. So at this point, these guys are ready to go. Now you could do this a day in advance, pop them in the fridge and fry them when you're ready to, or you can put them in the freezer and keep them for a month or so. Very handy to have. But before we cook ours today, I need to make a little tangy dressing. So I'm going to start off with some fish sauce, some sugar, some white vinegar, and you want some lime juice as well, and some red chili. This is a mild red chili. I'm really more after the color here than the intense heat. Now just give that a mix and let it sit for a little while just to let that sugar dissolve. Now to check if your oil is hot enough, you can employ my favorite method, which you would have seen a lot on my channel, but a wooden chopstick or a wooden spoon into the oil, and we're just waiting for some fast, furious little bubbles. Now in go your little prawn toast, guys. Put the topping down into the oil first, because that side needs a little bit longer to cook. And we just need a couple of minutes on this first side, and when you've got a really lovely blush pink opaque colour on that prawn side, flip those guys over, and you need another minute or so just to get that toast on the bottom really golden. Now what I like to do with these is serve them under a tumble of fresh herbs drizzled with a whole lot of that beautiful tangy dressing. So pop these out onto a plate. And now grab a whole bunch of herbs. Asian herbs like Thai basil and mint are really nice here. And then put a little bit of that dressing on top of the herbs. Give that a mix. And then just sprinkle those on top. Now one final dousing with that dressing, and there you go. Not my childhood prawn toast, in this case a very good thing. And look at, it just is so pretty. All those fresh herbs, that bright red chili. Look at how golden and beautiful that toast is. That is insanely good. Wow. All those beautiful herbs, the kaffir lime in particular, really shines through. And that big pop of juicy prawn fish mixture. It really is so good. You will never order these out again, I promise you. Really good.
Appreciation moment, please, for this little basket of heaven. We have the fluffiest homemade buns, the crispiest, stickiest Korean fried chicken. Oh, this is my version of Korean fried chicken bao. Okay friends, let's make these amazing bao. We're gonna start with the homemade bao first, and actually a lot of you have made my bao recipe before, and if you would like to skip ahead, you can. Skip on through to the fried chicken part and get going there. If you haven't, stay with me. Let's do this together. We're gonna make the bao dough first. Start off with some flour. Now let's chit chat a little bit about flour. So I'm just using an all-purpose plain flour. This guy will give you a really beautiful flavor for your bun, good texture. It won't be really white though. If you want a really white bun, head to your Asian grocer and get the very, very bleached white bao flour. I actually prefer this flour because the bleached one has less flavor to me. So anyway, that's my theory there on the flour. To that, I'm gonna add some baking powder, some yeast, and some sugar. Let's give that a mix. And just wanna make a little well in the center there. For the liquids, we need some warm water, some oil. You can find all the exact measurements on my website, so make sure you head there for that. Some milk. Just give that a mix. Now we get these two working together. Just pour that into the center there. Just start off with your spoon, mixing. And then when you get to the point where things are kind of getting a bit hectic with the spoon, just release all of that. Get in there with your hands. Once you've got like a ball of dough almost that's formed in there, just put that out onto your bench top. Now just be patient here, and you want to give this at least 5 minutes of kneading, and we'll come back and I'll show you how you test whether the dough is ready or not. Okay, so we've got a nice kind of smoothish ball here, and now when I press my finger here on the side, you can see that sort of bouncing back straight away. That's nice and springy, so I know that my dough is ready to rest. Pop that into a bowl, cover that up, and you want to leave that to rest for 90 minutes or until it's roughly doubled in size. All right, so let's come back and have a look at what's going on under this tea towel. That's looking good. I love how doughs are kind of, you know, they're alive. But have a look at the bubbles there, and this is, you know, quite a nice size. So now you can just tip that or sort of scrape that out onto your bench. And I want to knead this again, and the idea here is that I'm kind of kneading out all of the big air bubbles. We want some fluff, but we don't want, you know, like a huge amount of fluff. A nice, respectable amount of fluff. Does that even make sense? I don't even know. Okay, so this is the situation that you're going for. Dough kind of feels very firm because it's had that extra knead. And now what I want to do is roll this out. Just going to do a few rolls and then lift that dough up, and just to make sure it's not sticking. And you're going to get to a point where, you know, it's kind of a bit too large to keep from sticking. So then I come in with some oil. It's just vegetable oil, and just oil one side, oil the other side. And it doesn't sort of dry out or thicken up the dough. Okay, so we're looking at around about 1 centimeter thick here. It's looking good. And to make sure that we can fold the dough over and once it's steamed, still open it up very easily, I'm going to add a little bit more oil here. So all over that surface area. Now to cut your circles out here, you want to use a glass or a cup or a cookie cutter. Mine's 8 centimeters. I find 8 centimeters in diameter is the perfect kind of size for what we're after. So just go in there, peel back that excess. And you can re-roll that extra dough. We'll come back to that later. But what we want to do now is shape our buns. Now, this is where you've got to kind of, you know, have a little bit of technique going on. The more you put your fingers in that dough, the more you're going to get a really lumpy kind of finished result. So you want to try and touch it as little as possible. So just sort of peel one side up and over, pop that onto a little square of baking paper. And to even out the top so we get as smooth a surface as possible, just get my rolling pin and roll over everything. And there you go. That is a pretty good looking little shape there. So pop that onto my tray. Keep rolling. And these kind of look a bit smaller than you might imagine, but what will happen is these will puff up as they rise and then puff up even more when they're in the steamer. So if anything, err on the side of smaller rather than bigger. Now the excess dough, this is like a really forgiving dough here, so just sort of give it a bit of a knead again, roll it out and go again. That's a lovely little lineup we've got there. So what I need to do now, I need to do a second proving. So now pop a tea towel over the top, and you want to let our little friends here rest for about 30 minutes until they get just a little bit extra, bit of puff going on. All right, let's take a look now. Already looking delightful. Now to cook these, you just need a steamer basket set over some water and pop your little friends in there. Give them some space. Don't overcrowd them. Social distancing, very important. Pop the lid on. Now here's a little trick from me. Let your buns steam for 12 minutes and then don't open the lid, turn the heat off and just let them sit in the steamer basket for another 5 minutes, and that will give you the fluffiest, most evenly cooked bun you've ever seen in your life. Trust me. Now is the moment of truth, everyone. Oh, get so excited about this bit. Oh, whoa, look at those. Oh my goodness, my little babies. Okay, pull these out. Look, use tongs at home. Don't try this at home. These are very hot, but I happen to have like asbestos hands, so that's fine. Okay, so just lift them out. Beautifully fluffy. And then keep going with your next batch. Now let's check out just how fluffy these guys are. So if you just have a look in here. Now because we did that oil slick on the top of our dough, we can open them up really easily. Oh, look at that in there. And then let's have a look at just how fluffy these are. Oh, it just makes me want to dig right in. But that is a beautiful, really light crumb in there. Perfect. Okay, so now you've got your lovely array of buns just waiting for any kind of filling that you can imagine. And the filling I'm imagining today is Korean fried chicken, sticky, crispy, all the things. Let's do it. All right, chicken first. So I've just got some chicken thigh, nice little bite-sized pieces here. I want some salt and some pepper. I give that a mix. And the secret here is really simple. I mean, it's literally just leave it alone for 15 minutes and you'll notice a huge difference in the tenderness of the chicken and that salty flavor through the meat as well. So be patient, and in the meantime, we can make our sticky spicy sauce. So for this one, I want some Korean gochujang chili paste. I mean, this guy is like one of my favorite pantry ingredients. Beautiful kind of smoky chili kind of flavor, lots of umami going on as well. It's not too spicy, and it has a really beautiful red color. And some sugar, soy sauce. Using apple cider vinegar, I like that extra little bit of fruity kind of character that has, but even just a regular white vinegar would be fine too. Some ketchup, because like, I'm kind of like a ketchup girl. I like it. It's, you know, umami, salty, tomatoey, all the things. And then a nice hit of garlic here too. All right, give that a stir, and then you just want to heat this up until, you know, it just gets slightly thicker, like 5 minutes or so at a little bubbling kind of pace. And now you should have something that looks like this. Oh, lovely color, sticky, glossy, shiny, all the things. All right, now without further ado, we are getting to the part that I love best, that I know you know I love best, and that's frying the chicken. Yes. Now the coating on the chicken is really simple here, just some corn flour or cornstarch if you're in the US, and dredge your chicken in that flour. And I want this to be a really light coating. The idea is that we just want the barest kind of crispy crackle of coating around the chicken that will soak up all the sauce at the end. Okay. So sort of these guys, bit of a pat down, chicken pat down, whatever. Okay, now into some hot oil. You want to keep these guys moving around, kind of flip them over, and they'll take about 4 or 5 minutes. About 4 minutes really, they're not that big, the pieces. What you're looking for is a really lovely golden color, so keep them moving in there until you get that. Okay, chicken is currently looking pretty amazing. It's smelling so good in here too. Oh, frying chicken, it's a joy forever. This is the kind of situation you're after, that beautiful color and that crispiness. Now I like to do this in batches so that the oil temperature doesn't drop too much. So go in with your next batch. This is going to make sure that your chicken's nice and crispy doing it in the batches. Now once you have a tray full of beautiful fried crispy chicken, now we go in with the special sauce. So grab yourself a brush and go like all Van Gogh on here. Look at that glass and the shine, oh my goodness. All right, so this is pretty much like a work of art, but let's get it in the bao bun and we're gonna be even more excited. Well, I'm gonna be more excited. I don't even know how I could be more excited. Grab yourself a bao bun. Now, if you've had these sitting around for a while, that's cool. You can either pop them back in a steamer for a little bit, like, you know, about 15 seconds or so, or you could just like nuke them in the microwave, 10 seconds, done. When they're nice and warm, they're nice and soft. When they cool down, they get a bit firmer. So open these guys up. And I just saved a little bit of that sauce from when I was brushing the chicken, so I'm just gonna spread a little bit of that on the base. I want some slices of cucumber, a piece of our chicken, and there you go. A few more of those. And there you have it, friends. Bao buns, sticky, crispy chicken. Oh my goodness, all the things are right here. I cannot wait to get in here. I'm very excited. I think I've said that a million times, how excited I am. I really genuinely am excited. Okay, look at this, check this out. Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to start. That whole situation, so ridiculous. I mean, the chicken itself has that really lovely kind of crispy, sticky thing going on, and that fluffy bun made so much better because you made them yourself. So satisfying. Oh my goodness. Oh, this one. Amazing. I'm done, literally. Like, I can quit. No more videos. This is it. The ultimate. So good. Crispy, golden pops of seafood dressed with a tangy, sweet, slightly spicy kind of sauce and lots of fresh herbs. These are my Thai-style prawn and fish cakes. So I'm taking the traditional Thai fish cake. We're going to zhuzh it up a little bit. Let's go in with our fish first of all. So I'm using here a snapper, local here in Australia. Any kind of firm white fish is good here. In fact, actually, no, I've done this with salmon too. Salmon is great as well. So really versatile. Use a local fish in your area, and that just goes into your little blender or food processor. And now pulse that fish until you get kind of like it's not really like a light mousse, it's more kind of like a heavy, I guess, puree or paste. Now to scoop that out into a bowl. And now for the prawns. So you could pop these into the food processor as well, but what I actually like is to hand mince them, because then you get a really kind of chunky texture to your fish cake, which makes them seem more homemade, and then you get these like pops of sweet prawn, and you know, it's just better. Now the next ingredient is pretty key in my opinion. You don't have a classic Thai fish cake flavor unless you've got magroot leaves or magroot lime leaves. So that's these guys here. They have such a beautiful, like really light, fresh lime flavor. If you can't get a hold of these in your area, try using some lime zest in here, finely grated. That should do like a pretty good job of the same kind of, you know, essence, if you like. You do want to take the stems out. If you do happen to be able to get a hold of these at your Asian grocer though, buy a whole bunch because they freeze really well. Just keep them indefinitely in the freezer and then you've always got them to hand. Okay, now to slice them up, just kind of roll them into a little cigar shape. And they're quite fibrous, so whenever you're using these, make sure you're either slicing them really thin or really dicing them into very small confetti-like pieces. Now also, to me, you can't have a Thai fish cake without the spice. So Thai red curry paste is what you want here. And the great thing about the curry paste is that you're also getting your added bits and pieces in here. Lemongrass, garlic, shallots, all those lovely flavors. Now in with our seasonings. We want some salt, a really good decent amount of salt here, and some fish sauce as well. And then here's a little sort of secret ingredient, I guess, a little dash of sugar that's going to help to promote some of that lovely sort of caramelization, golden color in the pan, and also just kind of help that sweetness from the fish and the prawn really pop. And then the only binder we're going to use here is a little bit of egg white. Now at this point, your spoon pretty much becomes obsolete because what you need to do is get in here with your hands. Now, every good recipe or Thai or Asian recipe comes with some, you know, Asian mum folklore. This one is no exception. So this squelching and kneading with your hands is ultra important. Now I've had this drummed into me from when I was very little because fish cakes was one of my mum's favorite things to make for parties.
Party time!
But I do think there is a little bit of method to the madness here. So Thai fish cakes are not supposed to be light and fluffy and airy. They're actually a little bit dense. They're all about that sort of meaty fish or seafood flavor and texture as well, and they're bouncy rather than kind of crumbly. So it's this kind of working the mixture that, you know, probably expels as much air as possible, kind of works the proteins, makes it a little heavier, and gets everything a little sticky. And you'll see the texture start to change as you're mixing it with your fingers. And then one final little bit of Asian mum folklore is that you must lift up your entire bit of fish cake mixture and slap it against the bowl multiple times. I reckon this is all about air expulsion, because if you get a fish cake that puffs up with too much air in the hot oil, when you get it cooling down, it actually kind of wrinkles up and gets like a weird texture. So obviously the Asian mums in all their wisdom figured all of that out. And that's why we have to do the process. All right, so that's looking pretty good to me. So we've got our fish cake mixture all sorted out. Now, if you're doing this for a party, you could do this the day before or the morning of, so that you're not doing everything at the last minute. The other thing we want to get going ahead of time is our tangy, spicy dressing. So you could just do a sweet chili with this if you wanted to keep it simple, but I kind of like this one because it's lighter and fresher than your regular sweet chili. So I start off with a chili. Now, this is a very mild one. I do tend to sort of stick to the mild ones when I'm doing, you know, dishes for a big party, just in case we've got some kiddies around or people that don't like chili spice as much as me. But I just want to chop this really nice and fine. And to that, you want some fish sauce, some sugar, some white vinegar, and some lime juice. And just give that a really good whisk. Tangy, sweet and tangy with just a little hint of that chili spice, perfect. When you're ready to cook your fish cakes, just get together some hot oil, and you can test if it's hot enough by sticking a wooden spoon in there. And when you can see a nice furious little bubbling there, you know that oil is good to go. Now, when it comes to shaping these guys, look, you could go any which way you want. You could do the traditional, like quite sort of small, flat kind of Thai fish cake shape. I like to do like the street food style version of this, where you usually get like a little bag with cucumber and your fish cakes in there, and they're more like sort of small, mini, misshapen kind of little bites, if you like. But to make the process easier, whichever way or shape that you want to do it, the best thing to do is actually wet your hands slightly so you get less stuff sticking to your fingers. So a little bit of water and then just pinch off a little bit, and I like to keep it rough, as I said, and then into the oil. You know, the reason I like these kind of misshapen little pops is that when we go to drizzle that dressing in there, there's lots of little pockets for the dressing to get trapped in that little seafood fish cake. Now, if everything sinks to the bottom, that's okay. Just give it a couple of minutes so that it kind of cooks, and then it'll sort of lift off quite easily. You might need to kind of break them up a little bit too. And now just 2 or 3 minutes here until we get a nice, deep, golden, crispy exterior, and then ready to go. All right, just come and have a look at these little guys and girls in here. They are uber cute, totally golden and delicious. Yum. Just drain them really well, then out onto some paper towel. Now, don't get too stressed about serving these piping hot. In fact, it's probably better not to. They're quite volcanically hot. So what I like to do is just, you know, continue cooking out the batch, and then I'll just even keep them on the bench top, you know, for up to half an hour before everyone sort of comes. And if they're just sort of lukewarm, that's totally cool, and probably a little better because you don't want people burning themselves. Now, the way I like to serve these has a very specific purpose, and that is so that you don't have to put down your drink when you go to eat one of these. So what you need to do is pile all of these up into a tray or onto a bowl or plate. And then for some little pops of like freshness, I love to add a little bit of cucumber. Now you can go in here with a lot of different fresh herbs. I just happen to have some basil. Actually, I wanted Thai basil, but my local market didn't have any, so I'm using regular Italian basil, totally fine. Mint, coriander, spring onion, any of those things will do. Just like that little extra hint of herbaceousness at the end. And there you go, my friends. Have a look at those colors. I mean, it just says party to me. Now, so that you don't have to put your drink down and you don't have to get your fingers all like greasy and dirty, you can just have a toothpick, get in there, grab a nice little chunk with a cucumber on top. So cute, so dainty. That flavor, like you get hit with that tanginess and then that beautiful kind of double layer of just mild spice, the curry paste through the middle and the chili, and then the fragrance from all the herbs, the lime leaves and the basil, everything. That is just such a perfect little mouthful.
Universal sound for fried chicken. The crispiest wings doused in like this sweet, savory kind of glaze, crispy and sticky. Here we go, my friends. These are my Japanese Nagoya fried chicken wings. Okay, so the real secret to these wings is that you want to get the chicken so crispy that when you brush that sweet, sticky glaze at the end, you still keep the crunch. These are inspired by chicken wings that come from a very particular part of Japan in Nagoya, and I love these. I used to love eating them at my favorite Japanese restaurant in Bangkok, so I'm very excited about making them today. First off, we want to get going on the sweet and sticky kind of glaze. It's really easy actually. So add some soy sauce. Turn that heat on as well. And I want some mirin. So mirin and sake, so I'm about to add sake as well. They're both alcoholic rice wines, but they both have a slightly different flavor. Mirin is a lot sweeter, so it adds kind of more sweetness. But yeah, it's kind of like adding two different types of alcohol. Alcohol is a really good flavor carrier, by the way. So it's not just, and it sort of gives some body to the sauce as well. So mirin and sake here, you could just go with the mirin, I think, if you wanted to leave the sake out. Just some options there. Some sugar as well here. And some garlic. And some ginger. Now you just want to let this simmer for about like almost 10 minutes or so. It's not going to get really thick, so you're not after, you know, a thick caramel here or anything. I just want all of those flavors to make friends and it just to thicken ever so slightly. Okay, so right now things are smelling very delicious. You've got the ginger and the garlic, and this is kind of the situation that you're after. So it's thicker, but by no means a really thick syrup. So that's what we're talking about here. I'll just show you what it looks like. And it will thicken up just slightly when it cools down a little bit. And the reason why I keep going on about the texture of this is that you don't want something that's too sticky and gloopy at the end, because that's how we're going to keep our lovely crispy chicken really crispy. You'll see. Method to the madness. So this next part is all about how we get the crispy, crunchy chicken. So with this style of chicken wing, there's no heavy breading or coating or anything like that. It's just this really thin film of crispy chicken skin. So how do we get that? Well, start off with a few of your chicken wings in here. And the coating that we're going to use is just plain corn flour. That's cornstarch also if you're in the US. Same thing. So just a good dousing of that. Give that a mix. Now the oil temperature here is really important. So I try not to have too many gadgets around when I'm cooking, because I feel like you get to know things by sight a little bit better when you're relying on your own instincts. So I'm going to use this piece of technology, which is a wooden spoon. And for the first fry, because we're going to double fry here. So for this first fry, I want the oil to be like hot but not super hot. So if you were measuring, it'd be like about 160 Celsius. So dip your wooden spoon in, and I kind of want to see like almost like lazy bubbles. It's not furious bubbling, just a bit of like lazy bubble going on. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so just gently kind of place your wings in there. Now the reason you do this in batches is that if you overcrowd hot oil, the oil temperature drops, and that's when things start to get oily. So that's why whenever I'm deep frying, you know, I tend to not put everything in all at once. And I want to fry these guys for about 5 to 7 minutes. You'll see they'll have a really light kind of golden color. They won't be completely ready for the party just yet, because this is the first fry and we're just concentrating on getting the chicken cooked through. Okay, so this is what we're looking at after about 7 minutes. We've got wings that are probably almost cooked through. We've got a little bit of color, but we're not quite there yet. That's all cool. I'm going to take these out and just drain them and let them cool down a little bit before we go in for our second fry. All right, so it's been a couple of minutes. My wings have just cooled down slightly, and I've got the heat back on my oil, and I want to make sure the oil is a lot hotter than it was last time. So I want some furious angry bubbles now. All right, that's looking pretty good. So I want to hear a really nice big when I get that chicken in there. I don't even know why I did that, because you're about to hear the actual sound, which is like way better. Universal sound for fried chicken. Now you do want to be careful here. No joking around the hot oil, all right? Actually, if you were measuring this, it would be about 180 Celsius. So let's go in here. Wasn't quite like... You get the idea. You can hear it now. Way hotter than before. So now this one is all about getting that really ultra glass shatteringly crispy skin. That's what we're all about for this fry. Now I just want you to let these guys go until they get that really lovely golden skin. It could be anywhere up to 10 minutes. So just keep an eye on them, move them around every so often just so they don't get like hot spots. Now we're really starting to look very magical here. So when your wings look a little something like this, that golden skin, that's when they're ready to come out. So just drain them on a baking rack. Okay, so that is literally like a tray of joy right there. All of that beautiful golden crispiness. If you have a listen here, it's like an orchestra. Not really, but you know, you get the picture. Makes me very happy. Let's go in with our glaze here, and like this is the whole magic of these wings, right? Because as I was saying at the beginning, like you have this really crispy skin, you're gonna put like a glaze on it, but it's still gonna stay crispy, which is pure magic in my book. So just liberally brush these guys. Now a sprinkling of sesame seeds. And there you go, my friends. Like crispy, sticky wings, pile them all up on a plate. Is this like a plate for one? Probably not, but it probably will be. I love these things. Oh, I'm going to enjoy this one. Oh, I love these things. Oh. I mean, it's so ridiculous. The crunchy, that glaze is so light, like it's not like sort of overly sweet. It's just a little salty. So good. I could eat these all day. Are you having any daks after this?
Please, I'm starving.
I'm having such a good time. Yum.
So check out these like crunchy little guys. This is like the fanciest cornflake prawn you've ever seen. This is my version of a little known dish called barley prawns. Okay, so I know a lot of like crispy deep fried dishes, but these prawns, I had never heard of this dish before, and actually we were cooking something else deep fried and delicious and crunchy, and that was chicken 65 a little while ago, and someone suggested in the comments of that video that we should be cooking barley prawns. And funnily enough, these prawns are not from Bali. So there's a place in Indonesia called Bali. This is not the prawns from Bali. This is actually an Indian prawn dish. I could find very little information about it online, but when I did look up some of the recipes, it looked incredibly delicious. So here's my version. If you guys know the story of barley prawns or have a different version, please let me know. But first things first, we want to get a marinade going. So this is really delicious, this marinade. We start off with some Kashmiri chili powder. Now this is just like a mild, very red chili powder. If you don't have Kashmiri chili powder, just use a bit of sweet paprika and a little bit of regular chili powder. I also want some turmeric here. And you also want some lemon juice here. And some ginger. Some garlic. So the thing I really love about this marinade is that even though it looks kind of like fiery red, it's actually very mild because that chili powder is mild. So this is a really great one for kids. My kids really liked this when I tested it out on them at home. And I want some salt and pepper here as well. Now with the prawns, I've got some really super large prawns here. And you want to cut through the belly, basically kind of like butterflying out your prawns. So you get a shape that's like this. I'm just going to leave these here while I get my crumbing station set up. So I need some eggs. And then here's our little special ingredient, cornflakes. These go so crispy and crunchy when you fry them. But what I do want to do is just kind of like break them up a little bit. So before I get my prawns crumbed, what I'm going to do is make a little tangy dipping sauce. So I'm going to make what's called a tamarind chutney. Now I need some tamarind concentrate. I need some brown sugar, and then a few little spices here, some Kashmiri chili powder again, and some ground cumin. Now some salt here as well. Now a dash of water, and we just heat that until we've got kind of like a thick syrupy thing going on. Okay, so now we can do our prawns. And we're going to do my little crumbing method here so that you don't make a huge mess, just a little mess. But if you try and think of your left hand wet hand, right hand dry hand, just keep repeating that little rhyme in your head. Left hand grabs my wet prawns into the corn flour, right hand dry hand then comes in and does the flour work. And that way you kind of don't end up with big massive clumps of stuff stuck to your hands at the end. Okay, so into the egg. Okay, so that coating is looking fairly delightful right now. You can see all that like craggliness going on. That's going to turn all crispy and crunchy and delicious in the oil. Okay, so time for our little friends here to get all crispy and crunchy. Now I've got some hot oil here. You can test that by dipping a wooden spoon in there. And we've got lots of nice little bubbles. Okay, my favorite part. I love to deep fry things. Must have worked in like a fish and chip shop in a previous life or something, I don't know. Okay, in we go. Now, as usual, you don't want to overcrowd the pan because overcrowding the oil means that the temperature drops, which means then that you start to get oil soaking into your food. So that really is the key to deep frying and not ending up with an oily finished product. Now these don't take long, just a couple of minutes. Just give them a flip every now and then. Ah, that cornflake crumbing is like so genius. Okay, so these are looking golden and delicious though, so I'm going to take them out. And this is the kind of crispy coating as well, guys, that really stays nice and crisp. So I'm often looking for like party foods that I can sort of cook at home and then transport to a friend's house or a picnic or something like that. So you could cook these at home, drain them, and then just keep them warm until you get to the party. I mean, who doesn't love someone that turns up with something crispy and deep fried? It's like an instant friend maker. I mean, you don't want to be the person that turns up with the salad. the green vegetable salad or whatever. Okay, these are looking pretty good. Now, as with anything deep fried out of the hot oil, you want to hit them with some salt while they're still nice and warm. And then to serve these guys up, I just like to pour a little bit of our sauce into a dipping bowl. I've got a little banana leaf situation going on here because I thought that was quite nice. Let's place those on there. All right, so let's get in here now. So now do a little dip. That crunch is so incredible. Like I would just say, just that beautiful. I'm spitting everywhere now. It's so delicious. It's just juices flying everywhere. No, it's just so, like, that marinade that we made at the beginning is so simple, but it adds just the perfect amount of, like, sort of beautifully spiced, garlicky, gingery kind of flavour. Those cornflakes though. So genius. Oh my goodness. I could eat so many of these. They really are so good. Definitely a good way to make friends, this one. So everyone loves a jam donut, but here we go guys, we're making like a crispy, crunchy bao nut. Bao buns meets jam donut. Yes, my friends, that's what we're doing today. We are making a jam bao nut. All right, there's a little bit of technique here, but it's cool guys. It's not as hard as it looks. So, plain flour first of all, some skim milk powder. Now this bao bun recipe has been like a friend of mine for very many years. It took me ages to come up with this exact foolproof recipe for fluffy bao buns. So this is like my stock standard bao bun recipe. Baking powder, yeast, sugar, and then give that a mix. So this is the same bao bun dough I use to make the bao buns for like my bao bun fried chicken, my pork belly bao bun. I even did bao bun hot dogs once, which was really fun. I'm a little bit obsessed. Now you want some warm water and some oil. Pop that into your dry ingredients and then start out here with your spoon, mixing that in. And you'll get to the point where you need to get in there with your hands. It's gonna look a little dry to start with, but just persevere and keep smushing that dough together. Just when it comes together, you can bring it out onto your board and then keep kneading. Now, I think one key secret here is just to keep on kneading for around about 10 minutes or so. Be a little bit patient. It's not hard, just takes a little bit of time. Now, once you have a smoothish sort of dough here, you can just round it off, pop it back into your bowl, and then just cover that for 90 minutes until it's sort of almost doubled in size. So here we are. This is what we're looking for. Now, one really key tip here when you're working with bao dough is that I find it's a lot easier to use oil instead of extra flour when you're working with the dough. So just put a little bit of oil here on your bench top, spread it out. And by using the oil and not extra flour, we're not sort of drying out the dough too much. It makes it very easy. Just knead that a little bit till it's nice and smooth. And then roll it out to around about 2 centimeters thick. Now we just need to cut out little rounds. Now I'm using a 7 centimeter pastry cutter for this one. And then just pick up your little rounds, place them on some baking paper. And then the little extra bits of dough here can be re-rolled. This is a really sturdy dough, very forgiving. So just roll that out, cut your extra little pieces. These just need a little bit more time to rest before we steam them, just so they puff up just a little bit more. So I'm going to cover them and just let them sit for 30 minutes. These guys look ready to go, and just need to place them into my steamer. And you'll need to do this in batches, so just put sort of 4 or 5 in there. Leave lots of space because they do puff up. They just need 10 minutes. While your buns are steaming, you can mix your 5-spice sugar coating. So you just need sugar, 5-spice,
give that a mix. Oh, I love that. It's always so dramatic with the steam. Now just grab these out. And I've got some hot oil here, so just test that it's hot enough. I want to see some little bubbles there. Before you pop your bao buns into the hot oil, I just think it's wise to pat them dry a little bit with paper towel because they've got moisture on them from the steam. All right, that's looking good. Slide that in carefully. And then make sure you're being attentive here. So flip your buns as often as possible so they get a really lovely even golden color. Oh, the color is so nice. When everything is looking golden and crunchy and delicious, you can take it out of the oil, just drain it off here. Bao dough is actually like the perfect thing to fry because it's got that little bit of sugar in the dough. It kind of gets all like just slightly sweet and like crispy and crunchy. It's really good. Now, these can just go into your 5-spice sugar here while they're warm. And here's the jam filling part. So just take a chopstick and poke a little hole in the side here. And this is what's called baker's jam. So it's like really, it's bright red, but it's like really sugary and thick and so good in a jam donut. So I'm using baker's jam. I find it's often in the baking section of a supermarket or like from a specialty baking store. You could use a jam of your choice, of course. And there you go. I mean, I am so excited about this. I actually think like this is a way easier way to make a jam donut than if you went down like, you know, the brioche donut situation that's a lot more complicated to make. I think this is really cool. And the moment of truth is when we open it up, see just how jammy and fluffy we are in there. Wow. I don't even know why I'm whispering. I don't know. I'm gonna get in here. Crispy crunch on the outside, but so soft and fluffy on the inside. Ah, oh, that is just heaven.
The sticky Korean sauce is everything in this recipe. You start off with some soy sauce, some sugar, some apple cider vinegar, and then you want to add some gochujang. It adds this really lovely, savory, salty, slightly spicy kind of flavor, but also has a little bit of smokiness to it, which I think is really great. Add in some tomato ketchup and add your finely chopped garlic and then heat that up over a high heat until it's bubbling and starts to thicken. Pour that into a jar or a bowl and leave that for later on. Now let's talk about our crispy fried shrimp. You season your shrimp with salt and pepper and then coat it in corn flour and then fry it in hot oil, and then you have crispy fried shrimp. A little more sea salt here would be nice. And then we're going to do the saucing. Once your prawns are looking like this, now we can stuff our bao buns. You guys have seen me make bao buns so many times before. Look up my recipe on my website or on my YouTube channel. And I'm gonna start with some finely shaved iceberg lettuce. I'm gonna add my shrimp and finally just like a little sprinkling of sesame seeds. And so here you are, a basket of bao buns that you absolutely cannot resist. And in fact, no one could resist. The whole crew ate all of these bao buns before we came back and did a tasting for the camera. So sorry, there is no tasting on camera.